Let's be honest. Discipline in its early stages is nothing, it's never anything to smile about. You see, when I first started practicing discipline, I felt deprived. Deprived of my happiness, deprived of comfort, deprived of fun, deprived of what I thought was happiness. Hi, Kara. I love your hair! Yeah, I'm recording. Sorry, I've got company. Welcome, say hi? No? Okay, sorry, that was my baby sister that I told you I walk to school every morning with. Okay, so as I was saying, I felt very deprived of happiness. That's what discipline in its early stages is, okay? I felt like I was forcing myself to live a miserable, boring, robotic life while everyone was out there enjoying life, in, partying, um, being happy, having fun, and all those great things. And I honestly thought, in a couple points in a couple moments in my life during this whole process of discipline, that if this was what discipline feels like, then maybe it's not that worth it, And that is where everyone quits, okay? That is where people quit. When they come across that thought, that is when they quit. We start to confuse discipline with punishment. And I know I said in the last video to punish yourself, but discipline isn't really punishment, okay? We think that because it's uncomfortable, it must be wrong. But the truth is, discipline doesn't feel rewarding in the beginning because you are literally reprogramming your brain. Okay? You're starving your old habits. You're starving the old you, and the old you is withering away and is painful. And you are feeding the new one. And that is not supposed to feel good right away. Now, in all honesty, I used to scroll until 1 a.m. I convinced myself that I was researching, and maybe in the beginning I was researching. I started out looking for important material, but in the end I end up scrolling, and skipping workouts because, I will do them later. And then I make the excuse and say, oh, I'm just rewarding myself, just a little self-care, when I was really just avoiding what needed to be done. And every time that I start again, I'd expect discipline to just, magically feel motivating this time. But the bummer is that it never did, okay? And at some point, after repeating that process over and over again, it hit me that motivation does get you started, does help you get started, but discipline is the real deal. Discipline is what keeps you going after the motivation dies. It's what holds you together and keep you from falling apart. That is how important discipline is, and that is why if you found this video, you've probably binge watch motivational videos. That is why a lot of motivational videos stress about being disciplined and having discipline, and always talk about discipline this, discipline that. So if you can learn to sit through the boring, the uncomfortable parts, you will eventually reach a point where discipline starts to feel like power and not so uncomfortable, and not miserable and, soul sucking and joy sucking. Because the reality and how things work is that it's not that the work gets easier. It's that you get stronger. The work is the same. The load is the same. You just get better and better. And, at some point it's going to be a breeze and it just becomes who you are. You've become a disciplined person. And once you start seeing the results, oh boy, once you start, discipline stops being something that you force and becomes something that you protect. Now I'm going to give you 5 simple steps, okay? I'm going to give you 5 simple steps to practice discipline. And actually, no, they might not be simple. I've tried these steps and boy, are they hard the first few days. But they are very crucial, okay? First thing you gotta do, you need to detach emotion from your actions. You need to stop tying your emotions to your actions. Don't wait to start feeling like it, okay? Just do it anyway. Number 2, start small. Start with where you are, with what you have. Start daily, start hourly, whatever. I don't know if you can hear the traffic, but it's very loud outside. I apologize. Discipline grows in consistency. It doesn't grow in intensity. Okay. Number 3, start tracking your progress. Okay, it is very important. Do not track perfections. Okay. Start looking at your improvements. You really need to see your improvements. Okay, because seeing your improvements keeps you anchored. Limit dopamine distractions. Well, I want you to cut what overstimulates you so that your brain learns to value simplicity again. Okay? Number 5, lastly, I want you to reward yourself the right way. Okay? Yes, celebrate your efforts. But not just outcomes, okay? Not just your outcomes. You need to acknowledge your efforts. Now, with that said, discipline may not look sexy. It's no late night grind montage or a perfect morning routine. No, it's not. But it's the quiet, consistent work that builds freedom. And freedom is way better than sexiness. Because when you're disciplined, you are no longer dependent on stuff like motivation, approval, validation, or circumstances. You start depending on you. And that's the real power. That's where the real power is. Now, that concludes our video, and I hope you learned something. And I hope you take these things into account. So yes, if you like the video, give it a like and subscribe. Thank you for making it this far. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you have anything you want to talk about, anything you want me to talk about, if you just want to say hi, sure. You know where the comment section is, and I will be seeing you in my next video. Bye.